So leaving aside all AI controversies, I mean, just pushing them away for a minute, out of mind, out of sight for a bit, there are AI tools for writers who use Macs and iPhones and iPads, AI tools that are genuinely useful to us, and they're not ones that, pretend to do the actual writing for us. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which, as ever, as always, is for writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. Do subscribe, because we have so much to talk about whilst AI presumably gets on with writing our novels. Clicking the like button, it could definitely do that. Or perhaps AI could even join me as 58 Keys Patreon. Let it do all that. I don't want AI to write for me. I want to write for me, and I'm going to. But here are 3 artificial intelligence tools that will become, I'm sure of this, they will become as normal as spelling checkers or online dictionaries. I love an online dictionary. They may actually become so normal that we don't even think about them any more than you think about search and replace or copy and paste. They're just, none of those do our writing for us. And actually, importantly, none of the 3 AI things that I want to show you will replace apps, tools that I've come to rely on and love, actually, for writing for years. And I mention that specifically because of this first one, Cleft. Cleft is actually why I wanted to talk to you about all of this today, because it's the one where I was using it and I realised, now, hang on, I'm actually using several AI tools in my writing and in my writing business. Specifically with Cleft. Last weekend, I was starting to work on an extended 58 Keys episode that's going to be a 3-biscuit guide to the iPad for writers. Everything we could need to know. And I got a bit lost, actually, with all there is to say and what's obvious, what isn't. And then I tried this Cleft. Cleft is a Mac, iPhone and iPad app where you just talk. And at the end of your rambling, it not only transcribes what you've said, kind of, it also reorganizes it into a coherent series of notes, of bullet points, of lines. Now, importantly, you can do this with ChatGPT too. And in fact, that's going to be a common thing today. There are tools that either ChatGPT does anyway, or actually apps which behind the scenes are themselves using ChatGPT, and yet they are still worth buying for how they do it, what they add. In this case, both this Cleft and ChatGPT can listen to you or me rambling on and then present us with a useful, comprehensible, organised version of whatever in the world it was we said. ChatGPT has the advantage that it's free, but Cleft has a free version which, it lets you talk for up to 5 minutes. I'm not actually sure yet that I'm going to use Cleft enough to be worth subscribing every single month, but even using it for a free in a few 5-minute chunks, it has helped me out. A mess of thoughts. Oh, actually, no, I should start with, but then back, that kind of thing. Yeah, the back and forth, what it comes into your head stuff. You say all of that stuff, it comes out with this. I'm not going to stick to it. I don't actually like how spaced out it is when I copy and paste it into Omni Outliner to move it around, to manipulate it, to play. I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. But for a start, what Cleft gave me was so useful. ChatGPT doing the same thing appeared to be pretty much as useful. I tried exactly the same thing. I rambled, and somehow it wasn't as good. ChatGPT added its own thoughts. You know what I mean? What I was looking for was to have what I was saying reworked, reordered into something coherent, something a bit more useful than my rambling. And ChatGPT added more. Plus, this might be a British thing. It seemed to me that ChatGPT was deeply patronising. That sounds like a great and thorough guide. Oh, give me a break. And also, don't use exclamation marks. ChatGPT also, I think, presents its cheery and patronising results in quite a clunky way, at least in the Mac app version. So I prefer Cleft, and actually I'm impressed with Cleft. As I say, Cleft lets you talk for 5 minutes for free. To use more, you pay the price. It's $39 a year, and during that you get to record up to 30 minutes in any one go. Plus you can do other things, like you can add documents or images for some reason that I can't fully fathom. And the paid one also integrates Cleft with Obsidian, which I do see being useful if you use the Obsidian Notes app. And it also integrates with Zapier. If you don't happen to know Zapier, or if you haven't come across it, it's an online automation tool. I've used it to automate some social media stuff for a client. It's fine. It's very good. Actually, I just can't quite join the dots to see the benefit it would give us in organising our thoughts before writing and doing a thing in Cleft. Yeah. But speaking of writing something, okay, there is now Co-typist, or there kind of is. Co-typist is currently in beta, and while it is in beta, it's free. There is not one thin clue yet how much it's going to cost when it comes out of beta, but I think the thinking is that by whenever that is, you may be so thoroughly on the hook for this, you'll be unable, it's like blackmail, you'll be unable to resist paying anything they ask. Or you might not. Right now, macOS on the Mac, iOS and iPadOS on the iPhone and the iPad, they all do something a bit like Co-typist. They try to save you typing time by predicting what are you going to type next. I mean, they've done this for a long time, for as long as I can think of. They've always guessed what the rest of the current word is, or maybe the next word. But now, all of these things from Apple, they can predict 2, 3, or actually, a couple of times if you're writing really familiar cliches, maybe a few more words. What Co-typist on the Mac does is try to complete whole sentences for you, or as much as it can. It's very specifically, though, trying to predict what the next word would be based on your style of writing, and seemingly, presumably, hopefully, it learns from what you do type. Co-typist shows its suggestions in a faint grey text, and if it's predicting what you like, you can press the tab key to enter it as if you'd typed it all yourself. Okay. I mean, there are some other little bits and pieces to it, but chiefly, that's it. Tab, there it is. Co-typist wants to type for you, but like I say, it specifically wants to type in the way you would have typed anyway. I'm a little torn. When it first came out, I found the constant elongated suggestions to be a bit irritating. Plus, if it keeps predicting what you're going to say, I feel like, am I writing cliche then? I feel like I'm being judged somehow. But on the other hand, when it gets it right, it does genuinely speed up typing. And since it is very specifically trying to type out what you would have written anyway, I don't see it as a writing tool. I see it as a productivity one. Actually, just as I will use Text Expander to write out repeated blocks of text, or in fact, the Mac, iPhone and iPad's own free text expansion, the limited short one where you can have it automatically type out things like an address maybe, or that name you keep misspelling. Lastly, and most hesitantly, but also the one it turns out I use the most, there is Perplexity.ai. I no longer do searches on Google. I ask Perplexity instead. Amazing to think, isn't it, that anything could unseat Google after all this time. Do you know, I have this very visual memory, like a flashback memory, where I was standing in a BBC newsroom, would have been Television Centre in London, and Alice was telling us about this new Google thing that had just come out. Anyway, now, these days, when I want to find out something, pretty much anything, I'll just go to Perplexity and it will return an answer. I mean, I don't trust it, just as you wouldn't automatically trust Wikipedia or Google, really. But Perplexity does always give you links to the sources that it has used to retrieve this data, and I will always check those sources out. It's handy that Perplexity can go search for things and then present them in a readable paragraph or two, rather than, just a bunch of links like Google shows you. But also, when I've been trying to use it and Google for the same search terms, Perplexity has found me what I want, while Google hasn't. And it's also organised the answer to make it more readable. Well, how about this? For example, the other day, you couldn't do this in Google, but you can in Perplexity. I asked Perplexity to give me a list of the top 20 children's book publishers in the UK. Funnily enough, ChatGPT should be able to do that, and said, of course, and then just didn't. But okay, Perplexity answered, and seemingly perfectly. I mean, again, I wouldn't trust any AI's results immediately, but I would now start by checking out this list if I were really looking for this information. I'll tell you what, give me that list again, but with the publisher's website addresses so that I can go check them all out. This answer I thought was interesting because Perplexity doesn't know the answer. It can't always find out the result, of course it can't. But it's offered possibilities, and then right at the end, as I was thinking, why are you offering me these possibilities? It's explained how it came to them. So it's not as clear as successful result as the straight list, but it's pretty good. And then, why not? Let's go further. Who at these sites do I pitch my great children's novel to? Yeah, well, I don't think we can really blame Perplexity for that. So Perplexity finds search results, it organises them, and you can follow up with further questions. You can also check out the sources. It's easy to say that Google search isn't as good as it used to be. So let's. Google search isn't as good as it used to be. I don't know, whether it's the gods of the algorithm, whether it's Google just always trying to point us towards sponsored results, pay money over here, whatever it is. My perception is that Google search isn't good enough anymore. Although, actually, even Google now prefixes its search results with an AI summary. I just don't find it particularly useful for some reason. But speaking of being good, different type of good. The makers of Perplexity went on big on how they always do the right thing, that they respect websites that say, no, don't look at me, where other AI tools just barge in. Allegedly, Perplexity just barged in anyway, and that really bothered me. Bothered me enough that I stopped using Perplexity, and yet I've come back because it is so much better than Google. Is Google more ethical? Yeah. I do still only use the free version of Perplexity, and I haven't particularly felt the need for more. But as well as the free one, you can subscribe for $20 a month and get various extra features. I mean, it gets you a choice of different AI models to use, OpenAI, DeepSeek and so on. I don't know that I would know which I'd prefer. You could just try any of them. Plus the ability actually to have Perplexity look at documents you upload to it. I should say Perplexity, it's a Mac, iPhone and iPad app, and there's also a website, perplexity.ai. You can't, I know I said at the start we push this aside, you can't really ignore AI controversies, but I do mean this. When all of this eventually shakes out, a good thing that will be left is that we will have tools that, as well as spelling checkers, copy and paste, those things will just be there. There will be better research tools, typing utilities, ways to organise our thoughts as we write. They'll just be there and useful. This and perhaps many more AI tools for writers. I mean, tools as in things that help us, not AI tools, things that can replace us. They'll be there and we'll have them. For now though, that's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Thank you very much for watching. Take better care of yourself, would you? Write more too, and I'll see you soon.